Welcome back, everybody. LanceScurvX here, the Scurv podcast. Here's a thought for you. When I woke up this morning, I thought to myself, how many people are in prison, in an invisible prison that they're not aware of? Many people feel that they're free. And just let me let you know, I'm not trying to make anybody feel down. I'm just telling you what I see. And maybe this could help. But invisible prisons, the invisible prison of your childhood, what you were told when you were young, the invisible prison of peers, and how your actions are crafted by what they would think, as opposed to you being true to yourself and what you need and want to do. It's almost like when you see a dog in a huge yard and there's a house in front of it, and there's a huge yard for that dog to run around in, but there's a chain and a leash around its neck, and the leash could be kind of long, but the leash is wrapped around a tree. Now, the dog has enough space to run around, but he'll try to come at you, not to attack you when he sees you, but he's happy to see you, and he runs towards you, and all of a sudden, he's reminded that he can't go but so far because that leash connected to that chain, which is wrapped around the tree, abruptly stops his movement toward you. So just imagine how many people are out there in the world who have had dreams and aspirations, but they had that invisible leash around their neck from different parts of their life that influenced them not to move forward because they're trying to get the approval or validation, or actually have fear to go into uncharted waters in their life because no one else has done a certain thing. Or you have family bloodlines that this is all we've done, this is what we do now, and this is what you're going to do. And they can have that effect on you without even saying it that way, right? And you don't want to let them down. This is subconscious. This is nothing conscious. And you may have a desire to do something outside of that limited circle, but you haven't. You struggle within yourself. You see what you want to do. You see who you are and want to be and manifest, but it's a silent struggle on the inside. And I see that with a lot of people. So now we have a problem. When you're the kind of person to go after your dreams and visualize the kind of life that you want and be an individual, those who are trapped, and they're trapped in a very visible way to you, because maybe you could see it, but to them, it's invisible. It's an invisible barrier. Now you break that barrier and say, for example, well, I'm not too high on encouraging people to go to college. There's nothing wrong with it, but you get into debt, and that's not a barrier for me. I just never saw the sense of it now that you can't get any jobs these days. But if nobody in your family ever went to college, you will have those who will wish you well because everybody's family makeup is not the same. But you'll have some who will smile, but they're really not feeling good about it because you show up within themselves or within them what they could have done, whether college was a goal or not. I'm just using college as an example. It could be where you wanted to start your own business. And these are people who are locked in on city or county jobs and feel that they can't do anything else outside of that, right? And here you are. You may have a job that's stable, but you say you wanted to start something. And you started. And within the first 6 months, it doesn't blow up really big. It doesn't become your prime or your primary source of income, but you have a little bit coming in. And so you'll have these other people who, well, like, see, it didn't get big like you thought it would be, but you have to work at things. How long did it take for you to come out of your mother's womb? 9 months. How long did it take for you to be able to go and sit down in a school? I'm not talking about elementary school, but to have enough sense to go out into the world and navigate on that mental level. We're not talking emotional or anything that way. but just to have enough sense to say, okay, I know how to add, I know how to subtract, I know how to express myself to a point. Control is the next level. And as they say, your brain doesn't fully mature until you're 25 years old. And I know that's flexible. For some, it may be 23, for some, it may be 30. And I know some people in my life, or not really in my life, in my inner circle, but I've known people who I've crossed paths with that their brains at 50 still haven't matured, right? That's just the way it is. But think of the prisons that we're in. How do you, okay, say you're in your own free time. Why do you dress the way you do? Do you want to dress a little different, or are you trying to fit in on the average of what people would say is a line, an invisible line, like, well, why are you wearing that? You know, it may not be the fashion, but you do it anyway to stay within a certain boundary, right? And this is why I have to applaud people who break boundaries. And usually, right, even if, and we'll use dressing in a certain way. We all know that person who dressed a certain way that other people said, man, he dresses kind of weird. You know, I don't know what's up with him. Well, that's his or her way of expressing themselves, right? Why do we have to fit in? And we have certain cultures, certain societies where that's expected. And like I said earlier, and I said it yesterday on the other show, the Random Thought Show, the first one, you're handed a script and you are expected to perform and operate within that script. You go to school, you go to college possibly, or you go get a good city job, you purchase this home, you get married, you have kids, you retire, you have grandkids, and then you die. How daggone boring. How boring. Let me tell you something. When I came out here to live in Ghana, a lot of the folks who encouraged me on the first trip that I made, like, oh, wow, it's wonderful. You went out there, you visited, you're showing it to us. Wow, it would be wonderful if you can move out there and live. But when I actually did, it was dead silence for the most part. And people were making comments before I moved, like, yeah, well, he doesn't have a plane ticket to go out there anyway. Limitations. Doesn't mean everybody should want to come out to live where I live. But when you break the limitations that other people feel that you should have over your life, it upsets them because they realize they could have been free a long time ago, but they're not. And that was their own choice to stand behind that invisible line that limited their lives. And you get to a certain age, and this is why certain people get old and grouchy, because they realize they lived in a restrained way that they didn't have to. They had their hands behind their back, and the world told them that they had handcuffs on, and they made a mistake and moved their hands in front of them. They say, wait a second, I never had any handcuffs on me. And they will think that when they see your example of freedom, true freedom, to do what it is that you want to do. See, I do what it is that I want to do. I'm not going to be forced to do something I don't want to do. I mean, if I was on a job and they said, okay, this is the requirement here of your employment, of course you're going to do it. You may not want to do it, but they're paying you, so you need that right now. But when you're truly free, you don't have limitations imposed on you, and people can make little snarky remarks to try to put you back in the place of their imprisonment. No, you hold on to yours. You work with that. I will never be caught up in anybody else's prison, and I won't get caught up in anybody else's set of limitations. I have no limitations. I am unlimited while I'm here on this earth and beyond. And life is wonderful because I can go anywhere I want, do anything that I want to do, as long as I'm not violating divine law, as long as you're not hurting anybody. It's your choice. That's like going to a great restaurant, a 5-star restaurant, and somebody walks up to you and says, this is what you have to order. It may not be what you want to order. I order what I want, and it starts in the mind. Everything starts in the mind. So if your mind is limited, guess what? Your movement is limited, your actions are limited, and ultimately, your life is limited. You see what I mean? It gets no different than that. Anyway, that was a thought that I woke up with. I could go a little more in on it, and maybe I will later on, but I'm going to drop a few tidbits. That's just the mood that I'm in today. because I want to do it, right? This is what I want to do. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it stimulated you. Lance Scurv out. On to the next one. Peace.